Welcome back to another episode of Ideas Sin. My name is Denise, and I'm really excited to introduce Elena. Elena and I have a history. We've gotten a chance to work together, play together, explore, and do a bunch of stuff together. So I was super happy to have her on the show. So how you doing, Elena?
Hi, Denise. I love to see you. My God. It's been a while that we honestly don't see each other, kind of like did face to face, even if it's virtual. I really miss you.
I miss you too. I saw you and I was like, oh my God, let me try not to cry because I just like wanted to give you a hug. So, I mean, you and I, we used to work at like Achille together, and you were like my first friend at Achille, honestly. Like you were the first one to be like, hi, and like literally just like loved me from the start. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my, I still remember when I interviewed you and I immediately said the people, we're hiring her. I don't care.
Oh, really?
I don't care. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it was, oh my gosh, it's been like years now. Because we were working together in 2018, 2019.
18, I think so. Yeah, I started Achille in 2017. So I think you were there like a few months after me, right? Like probably like 6 months after. So probably, yeah, 18, beginning of 18.
Okay. Yeah. And so for anybody who doesn't know, Achille Interactive was a small startup when we were there, and it was focused on digital therapeutics. So it was using like a video game like software to treat cognition. And so that was just super cool because we got to work with people who worked with like George Lucas and Star Wars and all those designers and stuff. And yeah, I thought it was just super cool to use video games for treatments. But Elena, like what brought you to Achille? Like how did you end up actually finding it?
Yeah, so as you know, but maybe for the audience, so I'm a cognitive psychologist. So meaning that I do all this crazy stuff where I test people's brain when they are doing some computer tasks and now actually gaming, right? So I was a professor at the university back in Europe, in Switzerland. And at some point in my career, I said, you know what? I feel that I'm doing so many things that are so cool, but they never get to the hands of people. I never get to help patients. And I started looking for options, right, in industry, like doing research outside, the academia setting. And one of my supervisors, he told me, oh, I know that you love video games and you actually are like a super out there, like, all the trendy, designs and technologies. Have you ever thought about working in digital therapeutic? And I said, say what? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was back in 2017. And I said, oh, what is this Achille thing? So I Googled it and I immediately wanted to apply and get there. And as Denise was saying, like working with people that they actually like design video game, that they has been part of like Star Wars and Disney. I wanted to be part of these kind of like the cool kids. I said, wow, and a scientist being part of the cool kids and doing video games. So that's what brought me to the US, right? Like changing my life, from what I thought was my job, my dream job, to what then I thought was my dream job, and working with technology. And that was the experience. And I realized that the more important part of that job is the people that I was working with. And that's what it makes it so much more special, like changing your life, leaving everything behind, your family, your friends, at some point even my boyfriend. And the people that I got there, like Denise, you were my family. So, aww, and you will be always my family.
Same. I know, you're like another sister. But like I think about it and it's like, you were in Europe and you had to go through the whole process of like applying for visa and a work permit and even just getting Achille to be like, yeah, we can sponsor you, right? Because they had to sponsor you to come over to the US.
Yeah. Yeah, so exactly. Like when I moved here, I have to go through all the visa decision and lawyer up and
Oh my gosh.
asking for so many papers, because that was kind of like a difficult time to get a sponsor and to get visas. So it took, I mean, actually like a great surprise, because we applied for an O1 with this kind of like for people with extraordinary abilities. And then when they told me that, I said, wait, what do you mean extraordinary ability? Yeah, this is usually the visa that, like sport people get when they come to play here for tournaments, or,
Oh.
like actors, and then like, Nobel Prizes. And I said, oh, and you're going to give me one of those?
Dude, that's
Are you
awesome.
sure? So yeah, I got one of those. So I felt like it's super kind of like, oh, now I have to get up to the standard, right? With this grant,
That's
with
true.
this
Yeah.
visa. So yeah, that what brought me here legally was kind of like difficult.
Yeah.
But we got it. So I'm super glad. And obviously that was sent to Achille, right? And the lawyer that they had that make it possible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, and for you, like moving over to the US, because had you ever visited the US before moving over here or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
I came here obviously for vacation, but I also spent some time for kind of like summer school in New York, back
Okay.
when I was doing my PhD. So I was like 1 month in New York doing some research, and then, like a lot of conference, like science here and conference here, it's much more frequent and highly reputation than the one in some other countries. So it brought me here at least one a year. I used to come, but that was just literally with a tourist visa. So that was much more easier, right? Because you are not planning to stay, so they don't care. They just give it to you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's true. It is like one thing to visit a place and then another to live in it. So, I mean, for you, what was it like just transitioning from being in Europe and living there to coming to the States and living here? Like, was it a huge like mind fuck, or were you just like, oh no, this isn't like too bad? Like, how was it for you?
I mean, to be honest, like for me, like a home is where you live and the people that you're surrounded with. So it's usually very simple for me to go and live in other places. And I guess it's because I'm very good finding good people to surround me with. And that make it much more easy. So I know some other people have bad experience, right? Because they feel more homesick when they are doing this type of internship and when they are traveling abroad. For me, I guess I get enough support, from friends when I'm here, that I very easily connect, and they don't allow me to miss too much, what I have there, and I still uh, feel at home. It doesn't matter whether it is the first week or 5 years now, almost 6 years now that I've been in the US. I feel that this is my new home.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's helpful too because like you're a social person, so you know who to kind of gravitate towards, and sometimes when you're social, you can just go and talk to different people, and then you could be like, oh, I really like vibe with this person, or yeah, I get along with this person, or okay, cool, I can be nice to this person, but I don't really see us being friends, and like the people who are
Mhm.
in it, like the connections are just going to happen naturally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we feel that, right? So this is why, like, sometimes it is more about who are the people that they are next to you. That could be thousands of people, but the connection just happen without force this relationship, because you have things that you share with them, right? Whether it is, a sport, or like a literary interest, or like you are just kind of like bonding people, right? And I think that is what is more special about, you don't need to have 10,000 of your family next to you if you just find the people that they have this connection with you, no matter where you are.
No, it is hard because sometimes people will categorize like friends and family separately, but it's like, just because you're not blood related doesn't mean you can't make those people into family and treat them and love them and care for
Agree.
them like family. And that's what you would want to hope with all your friends, that they're like an extension of your family, you
Hmm.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise will be very difficult to really, for me, it's difficult to parcel, right? Like, it is like you are just not giving the full, yourself to other people. If you are just saying, oh, you're my friend, so I can only show like 60% of Elena, because the other 40% is only for my family. So then you are not really being transparent or being who you really are. And I think this is what I don't like. I'm not going to be just a percentage of me. The same way that I will not want a person just to give me their 20% friendship and say, what that means? If you don't want to be my 100% friend, why are you wasting your time with me, right? Like they and spend this 180% of their time with the people that you really care.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't think about that. Like I never really thought of it in that sense either. And it's true because I know that there are certain groups of people where it's like, I know like I'm friends with them, but it's like, okay, I haven't completely opened up totally to them because I don't know how they're going to perceive this side of me or whatever. And I think like a lot of people go through that. But to your point, like the most genuine and authentic connections are when you can just be fully yourself without expectations and see how the other person receives it. If they receive it, then great. That's like a good connection.
Yeah.
And if not, then you know that that's not meant to be, or they only appreciate certain aspects of you. So,
exactly. Yeah. And I think that you give your 100%, that doesn't mean that this person have to be exactly 100% compatible with you, right? Like maybe, you know, like you have certain, you know, you like certain things or you like certain music, and that doesn't mean, oh, I don't like reggaeton, so then I'm not gonna be your friend because I cannot go out with you. Well, you can do other things with that people, right?
Yeah.
But you just tell this person, oh, you know, like I like this or I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get political, but that is the other aspect, right? Like
it's so great because like we ended up working together, and so we just connected through work and all the random stuff there. But then like we got a chance to go do a lot of different things. Like we went on trips together and hiking and like I don't even know. We've been on like so many random.
you teach me how to play no bowling.
Pool?
Pool,
Nah.
yeah, exactly. Which I have to admit, I have not played in a long time, so I may have lost all my skills.
No, that's okay. Yeah, like I was just glad I got to like reel you into the team and just play. I recently quit the league too. I just need to take a break to explore some other like this, you know, like these different hobbies and stuff. But no, it was cool. And I mean, like, and you play tennis as well too. And so you recently started doing some more stuff with tennis, right? So what have you been doing now?
So that has been my big transition this year. So when I moved here to Miami, right, with COVID, so I literally, tennis was kind of like our get out things. This is what you can do. No matter, you don't have any restriction because you are two player, every person play on one side of the court. So there was no problem. You were safe. So after that, like a few neighbors start asking me, oh, you coach? So, well, not really. I mean, like I have done some coaching, but, like with family and friends. Oh, no, I really want, why don't you coach me and my kid? I said, sure. So I started doing it from my neighbors. And then I guess people, they start talking to each other. I have right now more than I can actually handle with my actual job and my afternoon job. Some days I do like literally like from 8 to 5, I'm doing my research work. And then from 5:30 to 10, I'm doing some, like some tennis classes and like having a lot of fun with kids, you know, we do costume parties, you know, playing tennis. Awesome. And so I really started exploring this, and apparently I'm good at it. People, they love the way that I coach, and we get to be actually more than just, you know, like the sport performance, but it's also more about, you know, like the empowering the people to do what they like and use the tennis in this case as a strategy, you know, to, you know, forget about your work, you know, to get out the stress, to actually do this as a connection with your kids, right? Because I do mother and children tennis classes together. I do also like couples together where they use the tennis as, this is my hobby, you know, like maybe for the husband or And then the husband said, oh, I want my wife to play, but I want to play with her. Can you do like a class for the two of us? So we have this as a connection to do together. And it was super great. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'm making the people happy every day. That is something that is fascinating me, and starting to contemplate it, like, should I do this almost full time?
Oh, yeah, that'll be interesting, because like that's kind of like, I don't want to say two of your passions competing, but in a way, yeah, right? Because like you really love research.
Yeah, I mean, and as you know, so I always like all the neuroscience, and why sport is important for the, not only for the brain itself, and why sport can help promote, like mood changes, and on top of the health benefits. So I starting to do like more courses and read a lot more about, what are the effects that doing exercise has on the brain. So now I use it the other way around. So I said, okay, everything that I know about the neuroscience, how can we actually apply this to the practice of tennis? So I use a lot of techniques that I learned from the attentional training task, right? The similar that we did, with the cognitive training. So how do you apply this to a functional exercise? So people, when they are doing their tennis, right? So you need to explain it to them in terms of, this is similar to being selective attention, right? But now it's like a ball, and the ball is moving, so you have to track. And I teach them strategies to help them to do this in a more effective way. And after that, we use, and this is applicable to your everyday life, right? So you use the same techniques as a muscle memory training. Now apply this to your brain. So I think I go back and forth between my two passions, right? Like on the neuroscience, cognitive training, and the physical training. And I think people, this is maybe like what they like, that I'm not kind of like just a tennis coach, they get them fit, but it's actually, oh, and this is helpful for my brain too.
That's so good. Anytime you're learning something new, you're building new connections, new synapses, and
exactly.
Yeah, the science now,
yeah,
though.
Exactly, and I use it reverse, right? So sometimes when you go from the neuroscience, and then you have to give a metaphor. Now it's easier, right? Because it's like, oh, now you have the muscle. Now how this impacting your brain, right? With this another type of muscle, with different connection, and those are your neuron, are your little runner inside that they are learning from what you do, and they do it faster in your brain.
Yeah. So has anybody come back to you and been like, yeah, since I started playing tennis, I became good at this other stuff?
So actually, a few people, they mentioned that they are able to focus more when they're at work, right? But I don't know whether this is just because they are more relaxed, right? Because they have their break, and they use this as a break between the stress that they have with whatever, concern or issues that they have at work. Then when they come here, they play tennis, and they distress, and they literally gave a break to their brain. And now when they come back the next day, they are back more functional, right? To really focus. Or it's actually because the focus strategies, they're able to transfer, right? So I wish I were doing a research study.
I'm just thinking like this could be a research study. Let's think about this.
Exactly. Yeah, we can literally have like a few people doing some tests, like cognitive tests at the beginning, and then after, and then some functional question about everyday life.
I know. I'm thinking like, oh yeah, add some surveys in there, maybe throw in like a watch or something to monitor their like.
Oh no, they all have. Yeah, I actually asked them, all of them to. Yeah, all of them. They usually have their, like the Fitbit or Apple watches, and all of them, like physically, they have improved. That we know for sure, right? Because we monitor that. So this is something that I always do with them. So I know that their, like their heart rate has improved, like their cardiovascular in like for some people that I had been training for like 2 or 3 months, they have literally have like a huge improvement. Like they literally, you can see that it's not only that they play the technique better, but they're getting to the ball faster, and they don't get tired afterwards. So they told me that. They said, oh my God, like, you remember when I have to take a break like every 15 minutes and now we play for 1 hour and I want to play more and my time is up.
That's so awesome. That's really, I mean, that's like so important just to show like that consistency helps too. That's going
Yeah.
to continue with the improvement.
Yeah, and for me, what it is more rewarding is with the kids, because I have, like, this is why I think that this is something that people, they may need more than they think, right? Like sometimes we do exercise, but we just have the in mind that we want to really improve physically, but we don't think about the impact that the exercise have in our brain, in our mood. So I have these little kids that, like nowadays, everybody's a little bit hyperactive, right? Or they kind of focus for, like all these people theories that, your cell phone are making your span reduce, right? You kind of
Mhm.
focus for more than 5 minutes. So literally, I have kids that their parent came complaining about that. I say, oh my God, I don't know if my kid is going to be able to do 1 hour, but if he can do like half an hour, I'll be more than happy.
Okay.
Those kids, they stay with me the full hour. They don't even look at the watch.
That's good.
And their parents say, how did you do that? And I say, I don't know, we're playing, we're doing activities. They say, yeah, but the thing is that now at home, they do it as well. So I don't have to be repeating them
Ooh.
like things. And I say, I don't know, maybe you just need to incentivize them, right? Like you need to do this kind of like reward system, but it's more motivational, right? Like intrinsic motivation rather than just, oh, if you do your homework, I will give you extra minute of time, right? It's more about what do they specifically want? Maybe they just want attention, right? Like maybe they just want that you spend time with them, and maybe you need to provide with activities that get them, like a little bit more active.
Yeah. And so what do you think is like, is there a particular thing that you find is a trend amongst the kids? Like, do you think a lot of them more generally just want more like one-on-one attention? Or do you think like maybe it's more like they just need physical exertion, like they just need to get the energy out, or they just need attention? Or is there something else that you find is like the foundation
I
of a
think
lot
it's
of
a
it?
mix. Yeah, I think it's a mix, right? And every kid is different, but overall, I will say kids, they have a very low tolerance to frustration, right? And they are not used to fail, and they don't understand why if they fail they have to continue doing it.
Hmm.
So I think this is what they need to be built, this kind of resilience, that is fine to make mistakes. And just because you make a mistake, you shouldn't stop doing it. And when they get to do it, this is when they get this hype. Oh my God, I did it. I want to do it again. Right. So, and I think this is something that they realize by themselves, right? Like their natural tendency is to try to avoid something that they don't get immediate reward. But once they realize that by hard work, they achieve something, they get almost addicted, right? To keep
Mhm.
trying new things and new challenges. And they need to be rewarded, when they really do it. And I think this is what is missing, right? Like if kids, they really succeed, we as an adult, we need to be paying attention to their behaviors, like almost 100%. Because if they fail and we are just when they fail, don't worry, it's fine. Then in that moment, they will learn, oh, I can give up, right? Because it's fine.
Okay.
But if you are there like to encourage them, oh, that's okay, you make a mistake, let's go try it again. Let's go try it again. And then when they do it right, it's like, yeah, big celebration, right? This is what they will remember.
Yeah.
And then they will want this endorphin and the serotonin of that event to really release again. And I say, oh, now I want a new challenge. So giving them like little challenges, like incremental challenges where they are not going to be able to succeed like from the level 0, but then change this intensity. That is super good for them. But you need to be there, right, with them through the path. So it's not that you are with the need to be with them the whole time, and not send an individual attention, but it's that you need to pay attention, right? Like even if there are 10 kids around, make sure that you catch when they are succeeding in something. Otherwise, they will say, oh, I did it and nobody was seeing it, right?
Yeah.
That's why the social media probably is so kind of like rewarding, right? Like, oh, I did something right. People, they like, they get an immediate reward or check for that.
Yeah. So do you think that there are adults that have that mindset as well, that as soon as they fail, they just kind of give up because like maybe they were never trained to continue with like that resiliency through issues?
100. Yeah, I think so too. I think this is not just like a child mindset. I think this is also adult mindset. I think it may be also very cultural. Like, like in some cultures, we are allowed to make mistake, and in some other, we are not allowed to make mistakes. So they keep pushing it. So I think individual difference is very important, but all of us, we should be able to overcome the difficulties and be resilient, right? So this is why mindfulness is so important, and learn about how we can, get there.
And do you think the same strategy applies to adults, to monitor them and be like, okay, yeah, that didn't work. Let's keep going. Do you think that it's
I
as
think,
simple as that, or do you need a different technique for adults?
I mean, I think it's the same technique, right? Like, that's a problem, right? Many times we think that we need to treat adults differently because we're adult, and we need all to be, oh, you're an adult, you're a grown up, you figure it out. No, why you need to figure it out? That's why we are a social being, right? That's why we have friends. That's why we have families, because we need people to support us. And we keep forgetting, right? That, and I just saw this the other day, and like in one of those TikTok videos, but actually I agree 100%. They're like, when people get physically sick, we send them flowers. Like, oh, I hope you feel well very soon. When someone is depressed, you say, oh, yes, get out of bed, do it.
Just cheer up, man.
Yes, cheer up. I wish I could,
Yeah,
right? So I think this is the same mentality right here. Like, maybe we just need to be there with them, like, to cheer them up. Oh, you get out of bed. Yes, you see how you're feeling. Let's go continue doing it, right? So they also need this encouraging messaging rather than tell them, oh, why you're not getting out of bed, right? I think there may be a reason, and just celebrate with them when they're able to do it, and remind them, like, you were able to do it today. What made you get out of bed? Keep doing it, right? And in that example that we were talking. But I think it is very important to don't forget that adults, they're also kids, right? We all have our inner child that in my case is always is an outside child.
I know. No, I feel you on that one. As I'm wearing like all these like yeah, I feel you.
Oh, wait. We're talking about child. That was my costume
yes.
for the kids party. Yeah.
I love that. I see that a lot. Like a lot of people will grow up putting like air quotes in there. Yeah. I know podcasters don't like air quotes, but I'm doing it, so who cares? Yeah. But like, yeah, people are just like, oh, grow up and you got to do this and you got to cut out all enjoyment of life. And it's sad because it's like I've seen that line kind of teetering, where it's like anything that involves enjoyment is childlike, and so people have to be miserable all the time to be an adult and to be fully functioning as a grown-up. And it's like, no, you're allowed to have enjoyment and still be an adult and still play and explore and all of that. And yeah, it is sad that that line has been like put down, that there are so many people that are in their heads about that.
Yeah, and I think this is why, like, many times people, when you talk to them about like video games or like or board games or any type of activities, they say, oh, you play video games or you play board games? Aren't those for children? So why? Like everything have a difficulty level, like it's adaptive, have a different thing that it can be personalized. So that's why I think people, they forget that we're all trying to look for ways that our brain feel happiness, and happiness can come to each of us in different ways, right? Whether it is like a physical activity or an intellectual activity, or both of them at the same time. And we're just trying to make sure that our brain get all the activities that we can, right? And for some people, just reading, it will be like the more enjoyable adventure, right? Because their imagination will make everything happen for them. And for some other, maybe reading, it may get boring, right? Because they don't have this activation in the brain that for some other people happen. And I think this is why we all have to explore what makes you happy and make you these kind of like a feelings, because that is what will push you to do the next activity that it will reward you. And that's why probably you and I were very similar in that end, right? We do what we like, our full-time job, but then after that, we look for, oh, I really want to explore this creativity side. I really want to explore this physical exercise that push me to the next level, whether it is, like the tennis or snowboarding or like something that challenged me through, like any adventure that I can really grow myself, and the way that I think about everything that is surrounding me.
You're developing all these connections and exploring, but depending on like the game, like I've had to explain that to people before when I was at Achille. They're like, you're using video games to treat this and that. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's so many other things that your mind is being triggered to do when you're playing a game, whether it's a video game or a board game, but there's like strategy involved. You have to start
Exactly.
thinking like abstractly. You have to start thinking about different potential outcomes and offense or defense. Like there's so much more to it than you realize that's actually being
Yes.
stimulated within your brain, that it's not just like, I'm just shooting the shit and just like, playing with whatever, like you are testing your brain, you're pushing it to think and
Yeah.
expand in different ways.
No, that's exactly, I mean, that's a very good point. So that is what, like in science, like I will call executive functioning, right? So it's kind of like a mix between, like the more complex attention, and then you have like this working memory, and then you have to think about and organize the information, right? So when you play like a board games or video games, so when I coach tennis, right, I use this a lot, right? Because the main idea is that when you're playing tennis, you are not just thinking about the ball that is just coming and you have to just hit the ball, right? But you have to actually start thinking about, if the ball come here, where should I hit the ball so my opponent doesn't have the opportunity to return it and I have more possibilities of success. So then you will have to position yourself in a different way. So all of these planning and organization, and at the same time that you still have to look at the ball, wait for the ball, move, run. So it's make it much more complicated. And when I try to coach some of the people that I have that they are more advanced, I don't coach them the basic stuff, right? They know how to hit the ball already. I try to coach them, think about like chess. Mm-hmm. If you were to win this game, how do you want to get the ball into? And they say, okay, I want to put it there. So for your opponent to move in the opposite direction, what will you have to do if you really want to end at the point there? So they have to do all the kind of like the reverse gaming, right, of the game in order to think about the final strategy.
Yeah. No, and it's, as you're saying that, I'm thinking about pool. Like that's exactly where it got to when I play, is like, okay, how do I run out the table? And what are all the different options on how I can shoot a shot? And if I were to miss that shot, how can I position myself to leave my opponent a difficult shot? So it's like miss with intention type of thing. Like, okay, I'm going to try to run out, but worst case scenario, this is where I leave it. And this is hopefully screwing over the opponent in a way and making them work harder for a shot. So yeah, there's just like so much to playing games, it's just, there's a lot. I mean, have you seen any like significant changes with any of the adults? Have any of them come to you and said, yeah, since I started tennis, I've also tried to do this and this is what I've learned? Or has anybody come up with things like that?
I mean, like all of them, they realize that playing tennis is more about this kind of like a long-term game, right? More strategy game than hit or miss, right? Like all of them, when they first started coming, they thought that the goal was to hit as hard as possible.
Yeah, that's like pool too. So, just hit the ball as hard as you can.
Yeah, so probably, I mean, like, and that happened with many sports. People, when they keep seeing like the professional player, whether it's soccer, basketball, baseball, so they think that, oh, if I want to beat my opponent, or if even when they start like classes with me, so they always wanted to hit hard. and I want to hit hard. And then they say, yeah, but you see, like, you are the one missing. It's not me. Like, they continue to send the ball to the ball to the net or outside the curve. Sometimes you don't know how many balls I have missed. So that is a different budget for balls. But literally, like, people, they were just thinking that I have to serve, like, I smash it every single time, but no control. And you know this from Dr. Holloway, you remember from our ADHD studies, but like, literally the brain, you know, like, it's kind of like a Ferrari, right? And if you don't have like brakes,
yeah,
you know, the Ferrari is going to explode. So tennis is like, it's the same. So you can hit very hard, but if you don't have brakes to know when to like speed up or to slow down, then you are going to lose your match. And this is now what I can see like perfectly in like 90% of the adults, but also some of the kids that I'm starting to coach, is that now they may not hit as hard as they thought, you know, the end goal was, but now they can literally outrun me.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because I'm still playing soft, right? I'm still playing to them, but now they know, oh, Elena, I'm moving you here. I know that you're going to be nice. So now they start moving all the balls, and then they make the point and they start celebrating. Say, yes, I make your point. It's like, yes. For now.
Yeah, until money's on the table, then it's a different story.
Exactly. Are we betting something? But actually, so like, I have to be very humble as well. So I play with some like a really professional people. And yesterday, like, we have like 2 guys that came to play with us here at my building, that they are like a former ATP player, like probably on the 100, 200. And when you see those people on TV, you say, I will be able to return their serve. You know, it's not that strong. I barely touched the ball.
Really?
Like, their serve was probably like 120 miles per hour.
Oh, holy
So
crap.
I put my racket, and that was everything that I could do. Yeah, so like, at least I touched the ball. Say, oh, I touched the ball. That's it. But that's the level, right? Like, sometimes because we see these professional people, how they do it, and they make it look so easy. Your goal is, you think that your goal is to hit hard, but those people, they are not only hitting hard. Before they were able to hit that hard, they have control to hit the ball where they want it. And that is probably what social media does as well, is that they show you only the success and the good points of people, but then they don't show you when people miss.
Yeah.
And that applies to all the social media, right? We only see like the good picture. We only see the good video. You don't know how many they delayed before they posted that one.
Yeah, that's so true.
So the expectation versus reality.
No, seriously. And I think that intimidates people, like just trying new things. They see the professionals doing it and you're like, oh shit, like I can't do that. Like, why would I even try?
Yeah, so far, yeah.
Those folks that you're playing with, like the more professionals, are they like taking classes with you too? Or are you just like, you run into them and then you just play with them? Like, how are you running into them?
So some of them, some people in my community, so they know them, and then they invite them from time to time to come and play. And then actually, so there is one of them, I have not played with her yet, but that is one of my goals. So that's a surprise that I wanted to tell you today. So I started volunteering for an organization that is called Serving Up Hope. That is actually run by a former professional tennis player. Her name is Vanya King, and she's great. And she's developing those programs for, different underdeveloped countries, where she not only do tennis, kind of like coaching and tennis classes, but also does some psychoeducation for families and for kids, some STEAM classes for kids. And now they're bringing also the program here to the US to also support like communities, like small communities that they are less privileged, to start running like these tennis classes together with, like some other like support for the family and the kids. And I really want to play with her, but I wanted to shout out to the organization Serving Up Hope, because they are doing a great job.
That is so awesome. I'm so excited for you. That's so great. Oh, so you just recently started or
Yeah, I started like
okay.
like probably like 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
volunteering with them and helping them with the evaluation of the program.
Okay.
So we run kind of like they always run surveys, after like a 6 months of the program started. So they have like the progress evaluation to see if the kids they are really improving, or getting feedback from the coach that they are on those programs, and from the caregivers of the kids, like whether they like it or not. So we are now evaluating the success, and what is kind of like the lesson learned.
Mhm.
And I was so surprised, like those kids, like in those difficult situations, the improvement that they do physically, they are great. Like those are amazing. Like I will discuss to you the results, and when I have the data, I can share with the podcast people as well. But they're also improving, like their psychological strategies, and they're using
Mhm.
it in the real life. So everything that they're learning with the tennis and with the school supports, they're applying this at home, which this
Oh,
is what
that's so good.
caregivers, their parents, they care about, right? So the kids are doing these tennis classes, and then they get home and they are more focused. They are literally more, like listening to us and doing their homework without being told to do the homework. And those are kids that they are not necessarily in the best situation, right? They
Yeah.
may not have like a proper food or any other thing. So they're getting this support from the community, and they are doing so much great. So I'm super glad to be part of that team.
That is so up your alley too. Like I love it. Like every all of this stuff that you're doing, I'm just like, yeah, that's perfect for you. That's like just so aligned because you have that like open and receptive personality and you're so welcoming and loving and caring for people. So I'm not surprised that you're working with kids and that you're working with this nonprofit, and I really appreciate that the nonprofit is helping like these underprivileged communities and areas because those are the individuals that need the most support, not the
Yeah.
communities that already have a tennis club or a golf club. Like, no offense,
Mhm.
they don't need that. We need it for
Yeah.
everybody else that is within society because then they can grow, they can flourish, and then contribute back to their own
Yes.
communities and societies. And it's just because they were given a chance. Like, who knows how many like tennis pros are out there, and just were never
I
given a
mean,
chance.
knowing how fast they are, I'm telling you, like they should be ton of scouts in those countries, similar to what
Yeah.
they do with the soccer player. They should go and scout some of those kids because they are out of this world.
Oh.
Like some of them, they have improved so much. Like on the result that I have seen in less than 6 months, they were running like literally like the 3K, like 3K races, like almost 5 minutes faster
Oh,
than when
that's
they
awesome.
started. Like a 5 minute improvement in running. That's just like, what? How did you do that?
That's awesome. Okay, so it's not just tennis, like, they're doing a bunch of other physical activities too, or, like, what
No, the
exactly do
activity
they
is
do?
so the activity is mainly tennis,
Mhm.
and then they do like other programs that they are based on STEAM, like the science and technology, kind of like classes, after school class, and then they do some positive affirmation for girls, right? So to support
Yeah.
girls in the community. Uh, and then the evaluations at the beginning of the program, so they do some testing, right? Like physical testing, like more basic, like the similar that if you run here for, like to pass one test to be part of the firefighter team, right? So you have like certain tests that you have to pass. So they do the same test to those kids, that they are running different distance and jumping, like vertical and
Mhm.
horizontal jumping. They do improve in 6 months in all of the activities. Like there is significant improvement, like as we will say, in all of those, like for both like boys and girls. And the more important is that they also do this psychological testing, and they do also improve, like in all the self-esteem, on the, like personality, like openness to taking care of other people, the belongingness to the community. All of this has improved, and they evaluate, from the caregiver, did that impact it, for instance, in your kid at the school? And they did improve in school, and they did improve, like in the way that they behave at home.
That's awesome. What's the age range for the kids to get involved in the program?
Yeah, usually, from, I think the younger one, they're probably on their like 5 to 6, and then the older one, they're 17.
Oh, okay. So that's a good mix.
Yeah. I mean, they are in subgroups when they go to the when they go to the activities, so they are adaptive to their age. But yeah, like they take, like a huge range of ages.
Okay. Yeah, that's really nice because they're all in different learning phases of their lives. And so that's going to be really important to like just get them focused and in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So they're going to bring it to the United States. Is it like, certain cities that it's going to be introduced to first, or is it just like a big mix of areas that you're trying to branch into?
So they're already installed or in some of the, I think in partnership with some of the YMCM, is that the name of the fitness center that they are collect for the community? YM something?
Yeah, YMCAs. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. They sound like, like the YMCA. No, so I didn't know so it's like, is that the name? Yeah, I think it's something like that. Yeah, so they are, I think, in 3 or 4 of those kind of like centers, specifically for those kids in those communities. And I think this is kind of like the pilot test here in the US. So like they have like I think in Florida, there is one center. I believe there is a few one in kind of like the East Coast and a few one on the West Coast.
Okay.
Kind of like a beta testing to see if there is also some benefit for the community.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So if anybody is ever interested in getting their kids involved, they can just go to the website and sign up, or?
Yeah, servinguphope.com.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and I'll include all that information in the bio for any listeners who are interested in this and enrolling their kids or, whoever you're taking care of into the program. Oh, that's so awesome. I can't, share the results because I'd love to see like what else you guys go into. And I'm more than happy to share that with whoever I end up encountering who's interested in exploring tennis or a new hobby.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. And so like, I mean, we've been talking about tennis this entire time, but what even got you into tennis? Of all the sports, why tennis?
Okay, so we have to go back to probably when I'm not going to say the year, so otherwise I don't care. No, I was 8 years old when I first started playing tennis. And I think I started playing tennis as one activity to do with my better half, my brother, which is exactly like me, Denise, you know me. So imagine a copy of Elena, but with a different gender.
Yeah.
So we used to have at home 2 of those kind of like a wooden racket from, I don't know where they appear there at my place. And we started going, to the local, like an open tennis court that they were in my hometown. And we were very bad, like really very bad. Until one summer, I was 9, my mother said, oh, there is these activities, for summer. Which one do you want to try? And I said, oh, I'm going to try tennis. So I went there, started playing, really love it. And then I told my mother, oh, I want to continue that in winter. I said, oh, but those are open courts. So I don't know if they're going to do it, because this is not kind of like a closed space and it's going to be rainy and very cold. And I said, I don't care. If they do it, I will do it. And yeah, I play tennis. I really love it. People that I met there, I still friend with them. We played many tournaments until I went to college. And then I decided that I had to focus on my studies. So I stopped playing for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And after I was doing my master, so this is when I said, oh, now I have some extra time. I'm going to rejoin a club and I start playing tennis. But I never played back tournaments. So I just play for fun. And when I moved to Boston, so this is where I start playing back again tournaments. because some of the ladies at my, my club, they told me, oh, we play this USTLE, you want to join us? And I said, oh, what is that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we play tournaments. And I said, oh, I play tournaments. And now you remember that we have this count, like, oh, did you lose a game yet? No, not yet. Did you lose a game? No, yet.
Yeah, because if you lost a game, we were going to make you run the stairs. That's what it was. It was like, yeah, exactly. You got to go up the stairs, however many games you lose or something.
Yeah, I think I didn't have to do it in the time that I was there. No. Although we put this month, you remember that we said no stairs, no elevator month.
Oh, so yeah, then we all just did it.
Exactly.
See, that was a good motivator. You never wanted to do stairs, clearly.
Yeah.
You're like, I like winning too much.
I mean, those stairs in our building, they were not very safe. So a good reason to not wanting to do it. Plus, it was biking. Imagine having to go through the stairs with the bike.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember. Yeah, because I had brought my bike in before. Yeah, it was a little tight. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We survived. We didn't fall down the stairs at all.
No.
So and it's really cool to see, because it's like you just started playing and then here you go. You went from like beginner to now you're coaching. Like, did you ever think you would ever get into coaching or?
I don't think so. No.
No.
I mean, I never even thought about it. I when I was here, especially like in Boston, when we started playing tennis again, I think people, they look out to me for advice, because maybe I was a little bit younger than some of them, and they were just saying, oh, Elena, so how did you get to the ball, or where you put this, or how did you run, or what was your strategy? But I didn't thought about that as a kind of like a career, right? Or thinking about like something else. And then obviously my only experience was with David, right? My husband now. So where we play tennis and I keep telling him what he had to do. And he always complained like, okay, stop telling me what to do. Stop telling me what to do. But now he learned it and he is super good playing. So I feel like maybe I did something right back then,
You're like training him.
And now people, exactly. So that he was my first experience with training people at tennis, probably.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so awesome.
Yeah, but I think, you are right. I think like for me, it's more about building the relationship with the people that I coach, which make it more interesting, right? So I don't think about coaching as, oh yeah, I have to go and coach my client. I just think about, oh, I have these two super cool people that I know that they love tennis as much as I do for the same or different reasons. And we have something in common. So now, as we were talking at the beginning, now they become my friend, they become my family.
Yeah.
So I want them to share something with me. So that's why I don't care if I do extra 4 hours, because I'm just doing something that I like with people that I like, that they do something that we have in common.
Yeah, that's so nice. And so, I mean, with the coaching, has that changed your game at all? Like, do you think that that's like helped your game, changed it, or like in what way do you think?
No, definitely like very positive. So now, before, people, they used to say that I was fast, right? That was kind of like my A game, that I got to all the balls. So that way they think, or they thought that I was good. It's because, oh my God, you're so fast. You can get to all the ball. There is nothing, like you are going to run. You are going to be, like after every single ball that we do. Now I'm very consistent. Mm-hmm. So now they call me, oh, you're a wall.
You're a wall. So, that's good.
So now it's kind of like they are playing against something that they know that they are going to return the ball very, like a consistent, right? Because the ball doesn't move. The ball stays there, and then I can put the ball almost in any place, right? Because I have to coach people. So I have to be also mindful that their skills, they're not that good. So I always have to send the ball to the same place. So my aim has improved. I'm much more patient than I used to be, which you see psychologically probably also helped me. And now I have time to do kind of like some rallies or some strokes that I didn't use before, because now people tell me, oh, I want to learn how to do, like the one-handed backhand. And I typically do two-handed. So now it's like, okay, now I have to learn. So now in my own time, because when I play with more beginners, so then I used to practice, so I get more consistent.
Yeah.
And now kind of like figuring out all the details. I also take some private classes so I can become also like a better coach. So I got one of those professional people to maybe, okay, can you go do kind of like a one master class with me?
Yeah.
So you think about my mistakes and you tell me where should I look in order to don't make those mistakes. So it's kind of like the continuous education, but now also for tennis.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's like you never really stop learning, whether you're teaching or you're the
Never.
student. Like you're always going to be learning something different about yourself or how you react to others. And so that's really cool that now you're becoming even more pro than you were before.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't play, well, I only play one tournament and I won it. But after that, maybe I want this happy feeling that I won this tournament and I don't want to win. I mean, play and lose. So now I want this positive feeling.
No, but you have to keep doing more. You have to.
Yeah, now probably. Yeah, we're thinking about it. Now that's the thing, right? Now that I'm coaching, so when I learn about a tournament, so I rather tell some of the people that I coach, oh, this tournament is going, it's happening.
Yeah.
So I don't want to play, because if I have to play against them, that will not feel fair. That I play at some point, I may have to play against them.
Yeah. And so how do the tournaments work with like tennis levels? Like, are you guys ranked in any way or how's that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's may depend on which type of, either whether it's a league, right? Like the USDA has kind of like a league that you are kind of like self-ranked, and then they evaluate you whether you really belong to this rank or not. And that goes, from, like a 2.0 to like 5.0, 6.0, etc. So then usually, and then you go to like a league and all of those. So those are just above. But when you play on this league, so you are playing kind of like you represent a team and you have to play individual or double tournaments during kind of like a 3 months period. And then after that, if you qualify, so then you go to district. And if you qualify, then you go to regional, or you go to the states, and then you go to the US level, kind of like competition. So those are kind of like the long term, and you have to be a member of the USDA league to play. But then there is another kind of like more local tournaments that they're organized by kind of like small schools or individual people, and you can just sign up, and you also have kind of like a ranking. In some cases, they could use the same ranking, like you say, oh, you have the USDA ranking or the UTR ranking, and you are just self-ranking yourself. You will know if you want to go like above your level because they describe what you'll be able to do. And some of them, they are more basic, where you say, oh, you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And this is where it gets tricky, right? Because compared to what?
Exactly.
So people sometimes they said, oh, I'm a beginner, right? Because maybe you play with very advanced people and then you get there and then you smash everybody, and then they are like, oh, you are not a beginner, right? So then it's kind of like a weird situation. So that's why they said, please make sure that if you are a beginner, you are able to do those things. If you're in intermediate, you are able to do these things. And if you're advanced, you're able to do those things. And those could be like a 1-day tournament or 2 days tournament, or a self-paced where you just get kind of like a draw, and you tell the players, you have to play during this week and then report your score, like self-report your score. And then they will do kind of like the best, like 4, they will play kind of like 1-day semifinal, and then the 2 first, they will play the final. So it's kind of like a self-pace until the date of the tournament, the final and semifinal.
Okay. And can somebody have like 2 rankings? So for example, like maybe they're really good at playing singles, but then when they go to doubles, it's maybe cut in half or something because they can't control the full court. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So usually, yeah, you have different kind of like scores to play. I mean, if you play in the USDA, you just play on a ranking, right? And then your coach will say, oh, you're a single player or you are a double player, depending on what type of gameplay you have or strategy you have, or what they need, right, for that day.
That's true. Yeah.
But the professional, so they have different ranking, right? So like you can be number one in single and don't even have a ranking in double because you don't like it or you're very bad and you don't have enough points, right, to get to the double ranking. And some people, the other way around, like they are very good double player, but they are very bad single player and they don't classify to play and get points. So that is what is hard to be a professional, right? You can be very good, but then you are competing to get to the tournaments, right? And usually the tournament, they have a cap, right? Some tournament, they only get people that have at least 100 point or 500 point already. And that's why like the beginners, until they get to be able to play on those, you know, like the US Open, the Miami Open, they literally, you will always see the same people on those tournaments unless you are a qualifier that you get there because you beat a lot of people to be in that situation. And that's why tennis is very expensive because until you get there, you will have to pay for your own, you know, like everything, like your travel expensive, the payment of the enrollment on the tournament, and traveling around the US, for instance, if you play here, until you start getting points, right, to play those small tournaments. And they say, oh, now I get 100 points. Now I'm playing on the US Open. And then the US Open, actually, just because you qualify to play, they will pay you, right? So you get, nice, just for being classified, they will pay you something. If you win one match, they will give you extra. If you win 2 matches, then give you more. So this is how the payment goes in the professional level.
Oh, wow.
But if you don't win, right, you don't get anything. That's the bad thing.
Yeah.
All the sponsorship from the clothing, but if you don't win, you are not going to get the sponsor. So you have to still buy your own clothes.
I mean, and for tennis, like what you're really like investing in like good sneakers, just like a good basic workout outfit, a racket, and then like tennis balls. And then like what else do you think you would have to invest in aside from obviously like playing in tournaments and stuff? But for anybody who just wants to start out, what would they need?
I mean, you need a coach, that's for sure. Like a lot of people, they think, like most of the professionals, they have a coach. If you don't have a coach, you will never know what you don't know. You keep practicing with yourself, but all the mistakes that you're doing, you're going to keep doing it because you cannot correct yourself. There is very few people that they don't have like a full-time coach, you know, on their payroll. But those are hard, right? Like you have to be very good and you have to be very consistent to train yourself and record yourself and see what you make wrong and things like that. So I think getting a coach and getting kind of like a person to play with, like a hitting partner, that's very important. And sometimes, you know, like you can get your hitting partner, could be your best friend, and that is cheap, but sometimes you have to hire someone to be your hitting partner. Definitely sneakers. You don't want to know how many sneakers I go through in 1 year, but I think probably like 6 to 7 pair of sneakers per year.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And then balls, of course, as you can imagine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And racket. I mean, I to be honest, like people, they get like they get very fancy with rackets and an outfit. I will say outfit is the less important thing. Whatever you feel comfortable is more important. You don't need to buy these $100 skirts and super cute top. Not necessary. Whatever you feel comfy is fine. I think shoes is a good thing that you get a good one. But other than that, rackets, I think they're like you get one and you could be using those one for a long time and just change the strings. Some people, they just like, oh, there is a new racket that they just came and I want my new one, but yours is fine. Okay. No, but I like the new frame of the new one. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, right.
But those are very expensive. They start adding up, you know, like $200, $300 per racket.
Yeah. No, it can be quite a lot. And so, okay, so you invest in the gear and this and that. Like, what are some of the injuries that you have seen with tennis? Because I'm sure people get injured and then they have to take breaks.
Yeah, so the more frequent injuries in tennis, they're usually with your ankles, knees, and the tennis elbow, you know, like these. I mean, I'm sewing, but I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, so the tennis elbow with this in your arm, those are typically for either like not correct positioning, either on the footwork or on the arm when you are doing the strokes, and for overdoing it, right? So that's why resting is very important. A lot of players, right, we don't know that, but they have to invest a lot on their resting time. So when they're not playing, they need to get massage, they need to get into this kind of like a cold water bath because they play one day and the next day they have to be ready to play. So they need to get a massage so they recover faster. The regular human beings that we don't have that much money and we don't have to do it. That's why we need to take kind of like breaks, right? Like our body is our temple and our brain is our temple. So you need to take a time where after, like if you play, you train for like 2 hours or 3 hours a day, the next day, either take it a little bit easier, maybe do a different type, less intense exercise, workout, and, like do your meditation, you do your yoga, your stretches. I think this is very important. Like we don't realize how much going to our body when we do tennis, for instance, like it's very intense and people, they do warm up, but they don't do cool down. This is when they get injured, right? Like they just say, but I just want to hit. I said, no, first warm up, take 20 minutes to do a full warm up. Make sure that when you start hitting hard, you are prepared. And then after you finish, don't let your muscle be all crunchy, after you have been hitting as hard as you could for 1 hour. Now it's take to do some elongation and some active recovery. Keep walking a little bit, go to a sauna or, like get a cold, like a cold shower. So those are very important to avoid the injury. But the ankle, because we're doing a lot of kind of like a fast movement, like a back and forth and sideways. So they need to be very well protected. The knees for the same reason, right? So we have to stop dramatically and then switch on the other direction. So we get a lot of rotation in our knees and the arm because of the hitting.
Okay. Yeah. I think, if people are mindful of that, it is pretty easy to avoid injury. But if you're just pushing yourself too hard and you're not listening to your body, then it's just so easy to get knocked out for a little while too, because injuries take time to overcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the tennis elbow, it can take like to fully recover. It could take up to like 3 to 5 months.
Oh, that's a
so
long
people,
time.
They start playing earlier just because they think, oh no, I'm feeling much more better. And then they make it worse.
I feel like that's a lot of athletes. I've definitely been there where I'm like, I feel like I could do this. And then it's like, oh no, I just jacked myself up. I'm out for for a while again.
Yeah. So I think we need to be very careful and very mindful of the exercises that we do. And that's what also, I mean, like having a coach can help you, right? Because they will see you what you're doing wrong to avoid those movements from even happening in the first place. If they see that you are stepping on the wrong way, that you are pushing your arm or kind of like having the grip on your racket the wrong way, that can totally change the way that you are going to get, your racket in contact with the ball, which ultimately what is going to make the friction and the tension into your body. And I didn't learn about all of that until recently, right?
Oh, until you started
coaching? Go through learning all of these technical details.
Yeah, that's true. It's just like until you have to teach it to somebody else, you don't notice it because you've already moved beyond that part for yourself, right?
Yeah, it's like when you kind of like, if somebody asks, if somebody asked me right now, I wouldn't be able to answer that. But how do you teach somebody to ride their bike? Like, I will not be able to teach it right now. So it's like, okay, I don't know, you get on the bike and,
and then you just go.
Put your legs there and then one after the other.
Right? Yeah, that's so true. I know I get on my bike and it's just like, it's like second nature. I don't even think about it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just balancing or I'm just doing this. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you imagine a kid, right? Like, I look at the kids and the parents are there in my building when they are kind of like teaching their kids and they say, okay, how did they figure this out? And then when the kids, they are doing it by themselves, yes, I did this. How did you do this? I don't know. I just did it.
Right? Well, I mean, how much of that for your own coaching have you just been like, just copy what I do, and then you don't explain anything to them. You just show them the movement and then you have them repeat it. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, with the kids, it's like that. So
Okay.
with most of the kids, you just do kind of like the shadow movement, right? So you tell them, oh, imagine that you're a mirror. So just do exactly like I do. And we do a lot of exercise where they are just step, like behind me or just side to side by me. And I do like the movement so they can see it. And this is where you realize that for some of them, it's supernatural. They can literally do exactly what you do, and they are very detail oriented, and they look at your feet and they look at your arm and they do everything exactly like you. And some other that you tell them, do this, and they do something totally different. So, okay, do I really look like that? Am I doing this? So then I look at myself. I have to like self observe myself and say, okay, am I doing that? No, I don't think so. And then I have to look myself and then put them and then place them, right? Like take their arm, put their racket back and say, okay, this is how you do it. Okay, now do it you. So it is funny, right? Because we underestimate, like our capacity to observe and imitate, because we have it for granted, right? Like, yes, I look in the mirror like here, right? Now that we have all this Zoom, I look at myself all the time and I say, oh, this is how I'm doing my hand movement. And we are not self-aware of what we do. So in real life, we don't have this mirror. And kids, they may think that they are doing exactly what they have been told, but they are not even close. But you have to place them and put it like, oh, look at this. So there is a lot of funny technique with the kids that you tell them, oh, do this. And then you take a picture, like fake pictures. Okay, I'm going to take a picture of your trophy pose. And then you're like the trophy pose. And then they do all these movements. So that way they they create the muscle memory for every single step. And, I changed the names of some of instead of giving the formal name of the technique. So I just give them, oh, this position is the high five. So that way they can imitate what is a high five because they do it and already have integrated what is the hand gesture. And now imagine that is a high five, but with your racket. So then, oh, and now they got it. So now when I say, oh, let's go do the high five game, and then they already know exactly.
Yeah. So what part of so speaking cognitively now, what part of the brain or cognitive process is imitation and observation? Like, what is that all linked to? I think.
Yeah, all of this is related to two areas, right? So it is related with the perception, right? And with the memory. So the perception is because first you need to see something in order to create this memory, right, in your brain. Like in the first, you are first taking the picture of what is going on. And then after you take this picture, then that go to the temporal areas, and where you store this picture. So after you repeat this several times, imagine that this is like a copy of all the different options that you have from the visual memory. Okay, this is how I did my first high five. The second high five, my arm was a little bit separated from my body. The last time it was a little bit higher, but all of them, they will become like a sequence of how you are taking those pictures to do this movement. And all of these get stored. So next time, when I said a high five, so the kids already immediately, they will access that memory much more faster. And their brain will go from this visual primary cortex, which is the one of the primary, into activate and perceive that information, will go into the more prefrontal cortex, right? Which is the one who already integrate all the information and just do the action. And because it's so automatic, right, I will just do it, right? It will become a semi-automatic response to high five. They will do it. Mm-hmm. And that will be something more that they will just be able to control. And then the more that we have to do this, now when the ball comes to certain space, they will think about, oh, because the ball is higher than my face, I know that I have to do a high five. If the ball is lower than my shoulder, I know that I cannot do a high five because my racket will not get there. So I think those are kind of like small things that will get stored. And then the kids will be, and the adult, all the tennis players, they will be able to utilize that information from like very early processing in the visual cortex to like the temporal cortex for the storage of the information to the frontal cortex to make the decision to use the strategy that you just learned.
So do you think that people who struggle with sports and hand-eye coordination and all of that, do you think that they may have some type of like delayed process, or maybe it's just like something that they have to continuously do in order to strengthen those connections, or why do you think like some people kind of struggle with that?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So as if we think about, like the regular development of the brain, right? So those visual processing cortex, right? So those are the primary ones, right? That they start developing when they are kids, but they're still underdeveloped, right? So they continue to grow the number of connections that they have between all of the perception, the visual area, the sensory areas in general. And that is why at the beginning, right, we don't have like that into the movement. We don't know like where the ball is coming, and we have this inaccuracy between when a ball comes and I have to grab it, right? Like either like a hand grab, or when I have to kick it. And kids, they like the ball is coming and then they miss the ball because they're still grabbing the movement and they're not used to that. So their brain is kind of like it's kind of like an old computer, right? Where you miss frames. You are taking a picture, and then it's not sending the information. And then by the time that you take the second picture, it's already too late. Yeah. So with more practice, more repetition, it's kind of like we are taking like every millisecond we are taking a picture, like, and now our brain is starting to make faster connection between this visual processing and the motor response that it is required for them to do. And that's why some people, just with practice, that will get infinitely better. And they will just have to repeat the action much more time. And you can see this when people, they have, like any kind of like developmental issues, or some people with Parkinson, what they are happening in those cases that they're losing those connection again. And that's why you may need to be able to repeat the action to create new connection that help them to do the task faster as they were doing before.
Yeah. And that's interesting too, for people who have like Parkinson's or developmental issues. Do you think that doing the same activity is going to help strengthen those connections more? Or do you think that mixing the different kinds of activities they do would help strengthen it faster?
I think it is better to do a variety of activities. Everything that can create better transfer of benefits is going to help more. Why? Because we are making a translation between not only one activity, what we are repeated, but between activities that have the same goals, that they are activating the same neural network. If we just repeat the same task, we will just get better at that task. So we will take always the same picture, right, of the same ball going in the same direction. Right now, what we have to do is that overall strength, the connectivity between the sensory aspect. So that's why we can do like different modalities, between auditory or visual or tactile, that how we can learn about the same visual connections and the same sensory connections with the motor response associated to it.
Yeah, so I wonder if there are therapeutic programs that are doing that are changing up the different activities for those folks, because yeah, if that helps, then why not? It's just get them exposed to all these different things, because then they're testing different parts of their brain, connecting it more, hopefully helps them heal faster. But yeah, I don't know how those therapies are nowadays.
Yeah, I think this is one of the goal of like many of the virtual reality type of intervention that they are nowadays. They are trying to focus not necessarily only on one specific cognitive domain, but a variety of them. And they're trying to do it in a way that it tries to mimic the reality, right, of different actions that they will see. And that will make it a better kind of like a translation into the real life, because you are already doing something that it will imply the same hand movement, but in a virtual setting where you don't have to be afraid of, like the same consistency of the task. Like you don't have a coach who will send you the ball exactly in the same location, but a computer can do it. So this kind of like virtual reality setting can accelerate the way that the brain can repeat the same action in different contexts much better than having, unfortunately, like a person, right, doing the task, because there will be human error, in the accuracy of repeating the same testing or the same kind of like exercise.
Yeah. I mean, even at Achille, like our platform was like that too. It would adapt to the individual, which was always really nice too, because it wasn't just like a regular video game where it's like, all right, I'm in beginner or I'm in heroic mode. It's like, it's always based on, challenging you to a certain level. Once you hit this level, then it's going to get pumped up a little more and then continuously challenge you. Yeah. And
like personalization and adaptability, they are key in all type of like training and rehabilitation, because we not all learn the same way. So we progress at different path, at different pace. And we also have different baselines, right? It's what we were talking about before, right? I may be like very good, and then my baseline could be very different to somebody who doesn't play tennis. So we are not supposed to be playing at the same level. So the same happen with any kind of like rehabilitation. So some people, they may have a bigger damage or a bigger impairment, but then they still learn much more faster because the other area of the brain, they are not impacted, and they can help them to recover much more faster than some people that they may have a more generalized impairment due to, I don't know, like a stroke or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And have you encountered anybody who has had a stroke or anything like that come in to play tennis or any other activities that you've been involved with?
Not really. I think that will be like a good thing to try out, because definitely it may help them.
Because it depends the severity too, right?
Yeah, exactly. It may depend on the severity of the difficulty of the, like whether they can walk or not. But actually, a lot of people now, there is all this tennis adapted, for people with a wheelchair, that is helping them a lot. But it's very challenging, right? Because it's not only you see and you move, but actually you have to have the strength to move the wheelchair in that direction, and all the hand-eye coordination multiply by 10.
Yeah, that's so true. That makes it like, I can't talk. That almost makes them stronger than like the regular person, because now they have to like deal with all this equipment and move and then be able to hit the ball, then get back to where they were positioned before. And props to them.
It's a different, it's a different game, much more challenging. I think the rules may change as well. Maybe there is some other rule in terms of the playability that may be adapted. Again, that I think this is the case, that I have to be adapted. But I agree 100%. That have to be much more harder than regular tennis.
Yeah, for sure, right? No, I think about it and I'm like, yeah, Elena, we're going to just have to start a research study with all of the coaching and the tennis that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm down for it. You have the patience. I will do the research.
I have all the questions and the random ideas. And I think that would be really cool to see. But do you have any other tips or any type of guidance for anybody who's listening who may be interested in tennis, or maybe, who knows, maybe cognition and studying that or anything else?
Now, I will say that if people, they are really interested into tennis or whatever kind of like sport or exercises, there is so many information already out there, like on Google, social media, that is very easy to get yourself exposed to the activity itself, at least to really see if this is what you want to do or you want to practice, and dedicate time and like resources in general. But I will advise that is what we were talking before, that the expectation versus the reality. When you look at somebody that look too perfect and never make a mistake, that is not the case. So don't put yourself to that standard. allow yourself to make mistakes when you are learning whatever sport, or you are doing science, or you are learning more about science. Everything is a learning experience, and it's not about, perfections. It's about learning new things all the time and enjoy what you are doing in that way. And if you have any questions, so Denise, please feel free to send them my contact info, and I'm more than happy to send them some recommendation of people to follow or information to read, that I will be more than happy to share.
Yeah, of course. And I totally forgot to ask about the mental game of tennis in general, because that's like a whole other thing. It's just like, all right, getting out of your head and how being in your head all the time affects your play. So yeah, I'm sure you know about that too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like the mental game, basically, the recommendation for that is literally, once you has either miss or win 1 point, forget about it. That's done. Whatever it happened, just next one. And that's probably some people, like some of the listeners, they probably know. So in tennis, you always have, when you're playing a game professionally, so you have 30 seconds between 1 point and the next. So take those 30 seconds, take some breath to really think about what is going to be your next, but never to think about what you did wrong on the previous one. And that is why it may make a difference between you in that game and your opponent. If the person who is able to continue thinking about the strategy in the game rather than what they did in the previous is who is going to win the point. And you will see that is also what makes the difference between the number 1 to 5 in the rankings and the other ones. The number 1 and 5, they keep winning because they get this mental power. They are playing and they are losing maybe like the first set, and they end up winning the game. Just because they didn't thought about what happened. The other one, they were thinking, oh my God, yes, I just won my first. And they're still thinking about what they did, but they are not thinking about what I have to keep doing so I keep winning the point. And it's very hard to do because we are very critics with ourselves. And the same way that we do in real life, every time that we make a mistake, we keep reminding ourselves like, oh my God, Elena, why did you do that? Why did you say that? Everybody's going to judge me. And imagine that in the tennis professional games where you see that there are hundreds of people watching you, plus the people on TV, and then you start overthinking like, oh my God, I just hit the ball the wrong way. And you start changing the way that you play that point or the next point because you start thinking about the other one and block, pass, next.
Mm-hmm. So mindfulness and being in the moment. That's like when you
in the moment,
getting in flow, right?
Yeah. And literally there are people that they have their, like similar, that they have their physical coach and the personal trainer and the tennis strategy coach. There are people who hire like a sport psychologist who is the one who is going to help them with this part of the game, of the mental game, of the performance of the tournament, because you can be prepared. And actually there was a documentary about one, I don't remember the name, but it was kind of like a famous American who was top 4 or 5 in the world, but he was never able to beat the big guys. And that's why he never was number 1, because every time that he had to play against like a Nadal or Federer, he freaked out because he knew so much about them that he already he was already thinking about, I'm going to lose and they're going to beat me. I'm going to be ridiculous. I'm going to make so many mistakes. So even before the game, he already was starting to think that he was going to lose. And then when he ended up going to the game, he lost. And then was kind of like a confirmatory. You see, yeah. I knew I lost.
Yeah. He was, it's setting himself up for failure. I mean, so did he get the sports psychologist, or is this something that like he freely shared and is trying to help people to recognize?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it here.
Yeah, because I feel
sorry, we're just doing this live. You see, this is
I know this is all good. No, because it's true. I mean, it applies to a lot of different things, especially with a lot of different sports. As soon as you're in like a competition, you have to be able to close all your distractions out to focus on what it is that you're trying to do. And like you said, just focus on the moment.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not breaking point. Everybody's talking about breaking point nowadays, which is good. I mean, if you like tennis and you want to know a little bit more about what is going on in the tournaments and how professional players, they go through their daily life while preparing, I highly recommend it. So it's 2 seasons, Breaking Point.
Breaking Point, okay.
Okay, so I think it was this one. Yeah, so it's Marty Fis, and he talked about this anxiety disorder. And this anxiety was the one who really didn't make him to be able to perform at his best. And he opened up about, you know, that's why people, they don't talk, right? Like all this struggle when you play tennis, that you have to cope with all these emotions. And I think it's called Untold Breaking Point.
Untold Breaking Point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that'll be something else to add too, because you did recommend a few books as well, which was really nice. So I'll make sure to include all of that in the bio. So anybody who's interested in checking this thing out, you should. I feel like it's going to apply to any type of sport or activity that you're getting into.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all just a mental game.
Yeah, and then there is another one who is just Breaking Point. So there is, obviously tennis player or tennis director. They may not be very original with the title. Untold Breaking Point versus Breaking Point.
And they're not related, right, at all?
They are not very related. I mean, they will talk about, you know, like the life of players and during the game performance, which I like it, that is not too mad about the sensationalism about the relationship, you know, it's another gossip. There's some gossip there. Spoiler alert.
Yay. Oh, well, this has been so awesome to talk to you and catch up, Elena. I'm so excited for all these like opportunities that are coming your way, and like you're in it, you're beginning the process. And so I'm just excited to see like where this takes you, because I know it's going to be amazing, and you're just going to flourish as a coach and a mentor and teacher. And I'm really excited for you. Like I'm really,
Thank
really
you.
excited. Yeah. So when I go
you come visit me.
I know, I literally just going to say, when I come visit you, I'll take some of your lessons, because I'm in between hitting a ball like pretty well and then like, you know, getting back into softball mode. So it's in between there. Yeah.
And you play some golf, if I remember correctly, right?
No, that was just mini golf for our like Achilles
okay, well,
outing.
Mini golf is good. Okay. Yeah, but you were very good at mini golf. So you get there.
Yes. Yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun. And if you come out to Texas too, Austin is pretty fun. They're getting into pickleball.
I know.
Have you gotten into pickleball?
No, yeah. I hear about that, yes. But we're not going to talk about pickleball.
I already know where it's going.
No, I don't. No, I think everything that gets people active, I'm very supportive. But I don't like that they're using the tennis court and eliminating the tennis court to transform into pickleball. So I'd rather think, okay, expand, give more people option to play rather than to remove option for people to do something that they used to do. Yeah. Other than that, the sound is a little bit annoying, but it's fun to play. I play a couple of times.
I heard it has like a really high decibel, like the sound of it.
Oh, yeah.
Or something. I haven't heard it really myself, so I don't know. But I heard it's loud.
Yeah, the problem is that the ball, they are kind of like hard plastic. Mm-hmm. And yeah, when you hear it with this racket, that they are also made of plastic, or so plastic with plastic sound, clack, clack, clack. So, and it's faster, so it's a fast game. So it's make it very annoying. Not when you play only one chord, but when they are like several chords together.
Clack, 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 clack.
Exactly. So you may want to, I don't know, find their own space.
Yeah.
My neighbor may say the same about us playing tennis with all the service and all of the things. So
And the grunting.
Yeah. Oh, we don't do that much here at that level, but yes.
Okay. No, that's
Maybe.
good. Oh, well, thank you so much, Elena, for your time. I'm so excited that we got a chance to reconnect and I get a chance to see your face again. It's just so wonderful. So I can't wait to see you in person so I can give you a big old hug and kiss. So I really appreciate your
Yes.
time. And for everybody else who is listening, thank you so much again for spending your time with us and getting a chance to hear Elena's story. And so I hope that you check out some of the information that she has and also check out the nonprofit that she's volunteering with, which is Serve Up Hope, Serving Up Hope.
Serving Up Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And check that out and see if you can contribute in any kind of way, or maybe look to enroll your kids in one of their beta programs. That would be really cool to see. All right. Well, thank you so much.